Hi everybody, in this video we're going to have a look at how we can import the step file and then make some modifications to it before we bring it back into ANSYS for the simulation. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is open up Creo Parametric. Okay, I'm just going to set the working directory. So I need to find where I want to store all of my files. So just set this up first. Okay, so that's all set. And now if I go to open in this location, what I need to do is find the step file. So you can see that the file type is currently set to Creo files. I need to change this to all files, and then the step file should be readable for you. So if you click on that, click import, and then we just need to bring this in. I'm going to click OK, and we've got this now assembly imported into Creo. So let's change this. I'm going to change it to shading with edges, and I'm just going to click the save button and save it to that location. Let's just check that that's saved okay. Yeah, you can see I've got the assemblies, and I've also got those two part files there as well. So that's all good. Now, if I want to make modifications to these parts, fairly easy. We just need to open up the individual component. So let's have a look which one's which. So we've got the bracket and the body. So I'm just going to open that file. All right, so what you'll notice is we've just got imported feature. Because you've imported a step file, you don't end up with any of the model history here. And what we need to do is add some datum planes into this. So you can see the planes are missing as well. So if you go to datum, offset planes, and then you can just press this tick button 3 times, and you can see that it brings in some default planes for us. Okay, and they should be quite useful in helping us make some modifications to this part. Now, your task is to reduce the mass by 20%. Okay, so one of the first things that you really need to do is think about setting up the density so you can actually measure what the mass is in here. So if we go to File, Prepare, Model Properties, and what you can do is you can see mass properties here are not available. Okay, so we need to add a material. So we're going to click Change, and there is built-in materials in here. So if you go Legacy Materials, you'll see that there's 608, 6061. Okay, but we've got a specific density that's been given to us on our assignment. Okay, so we're going to create a new material. So this is going to be AL, let's do it properly, 6082-T6. And all we really need is the density. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the assignment document again. So your density is just there, and it's kilograms meter cubic. Okay, so let's import that in. So let's change the units, kilograms meter cubic, and add that in, and go save to model. And it should be listed here, so the arrow should be next to it. If it's not, just right click, and then you sometimes have to click set as master. So yeah, you can see if it's not got the arrow next to it, you change to set to master, but you can see mine's okay. So that material is now set. Okay, and if I want to find out the mass properties now, I can click on this little info tab, and it will tell me what the mass is. Okay, so it's in tons, just times it by 1,000, and then that will give it you in kilograms. Okay, so we can come out of here and close this. There's another way to get to the mass properties as well. If you go to analysis, you can get mass properties here, and then you can click preview, and again it gives it you here. So at the minute I'm 0.72 kilograms, for example. So that's all set so far. So now we need to go about making changes. Once you've got the geometry here, you can interact with it like any other feature. So I'm going to show you how I might start by making some changes to this. So I'm going to click on this back face here, go Model, Sketch, and Sketch View. Okay, I need to add some references in. It's not picked up very well on these references, so I'm just going to add those across there. And I'm going to cut out a section down here. So there are a couple of tools I can use to help me. The first one is called offset. Okay, so if I click on this offset tool, you can click on an edge and then you can offset by a certain distance. So let's offset this by, I'm just going to click the little tick mark, say I'm happy with that. So I'm going to offset that by, let's say, 7.5. Okay, and I can do that in another couple of places as well. So let's go offset, offset here. What should that be? Minus 2.5, minus 5. Okay, yeah, let's have it run along that edge there. Click this little tick mark. We can do the same here. Let's go minus 7.5. Okay, 7.5. I want it the opposite direction. I've got that set up. So I've got a couple of offset curves. Let's join these up. So I can use a corner tool. Click on corner, just there. Click this corner to there. And then what I'm going to do is use the circle tool, snap to the middle, and then I'm going to come out here. Let's say, let's put it there, and then we can make this a rational number. So let's say 95. That should be plenty. And again, should be able to use the, let's use the delete segment tool, get rid of that bit. I don't need that for sure. And then we can use corner, so I want there and there to be a corner. I want there and there to be a corner too. Okay, so I've got this section here, and what I'll do with that is I'm just going to extrude it through to get rid of it. So click OK, click extrude, flip the direction, remove the material. Okay, let's change it to through all, and we've got that. Okay, so I've taken a bit of the material out here. It's probably going to be too flimsy if I leave it like this. So what I want to do is add some support to this component. So I'm going to click on this face, go sketch, sketch view, and now I'm going to use the construction mode. So construction mode lets us position things, and I'm going to use the line tool. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the center here and go to that corner there. Okay, and we'll do the same the other side as well. Okay. And what I can now do is if I come here, I can make, I need to come out of construction mode, make a line from there that's parallel to that line. Just there. And we'll do the same the other side as well. Okay, so they're parallel to each other. Let's add a thickness between those two. So I'm going to override the dimension, so that's 5. And to make it so that this is midpoint on that line, let's go 2.5. Look, this is kind of entirely up to you. You don't follow exactly what I'm doing. You can do your own variations. You can come up with your own designs. Okay, this is just an idea to show you what you could do. So let's use the circle tool again. I'm just going to match up to that edge there, and then use delete segment to get rid of some of these bits of line that I don't need. Okay, let's see. Can we corner that? Let's see if it will let us corner. Yeah. Okay. And then we can use the line tool just here to here. Okay, so that would be like a bit of a strengthening rib that I can add into this section. I need to be mindful. I need to make sure that I can still actually use this component, for its intended purpose. So I can't get in the way of the fasteners, and there'd be pieces that go in here. So you'll need to understand the use case in order to make it so that it's still a usable component. I'm going to click OK, and then let's extrude this. Okay, let's flip the direction, and I'm going to use this tool here. So if I go to reference on this drop down, I can make it so that it extrudes through to that face, and we can click OK. So now I've got one bit of strengthening just there. Let's add another. Let's just mirror that. So if I click on that extrusion, click mirror, click the mid plane, I can add a second one in there. Okay. So I've lightweightened this bottom section quite a bit now, but it's really quite bad practice to leave these sharp edges. They'd be quite difficult to manufacture, and sharp edges normally mean that you get a stress razor along that edge as well. So we normally try to round off these kind of edges unless it's imperative to the design. Okay, so I'm just going to use a round tool now and add some rounds in here. So let's use a 3mm round on these corners. If you imagine this was being cut out on a CNC machine as well, having a round in these corners will make it so that you can actually cut it in the machine. The bigger the round you can get away with, the better. Normally means you can use a bigger tool when you're cutting it out. Okay. Oops. There. Okay, I'm a little bit concerned with this region just because there's quite a lot of force that comes through the steering arm, so I'm a little bit worried about the strengthening here. So what I might do is I'll use rounding here, here, and here. Okay, so that's fine. But I might use a larger round in this section so that I add a bit more material so that the forces are transmitted through it. So let's just add a second round here. How big can we make this? Okay, yeah, so something like that, maybe 10. Hopefully that will help us out a little bit. Okay. What I also might do is, this design wasn't fully optimized to start with, so maybe I can add a few rounds in here as well. That's not going to impact the use. Maybe that will help with some of the stress. Maybe I can add that in there. Maybe we can do something. This is actually adding a little bit of mass though, isn't it? So you might have to mean that you spend a bit of time optimizing it elsewhere. Okay, you could do that in other places, but this is just an example. Okay, so I've had a look at the bottom section. I've removed some mass. Let's have a look. The analysis, mass properties, preview. Okay, I've definitely taken out quite a bit. Okay, but so you need to make sure that you get at least 20% mass reduction. Okay, so we've got that. Let's go back to the assembly. Okay, so we've got our assembly view here. Made some modifications. Now we need to save this as a step file. Okay, so I'm actually going to open this here, and now we're going to save this as a step file. So we're going to go File, Save As, Save a Copy, and let's give it a new name. Let's change this to 2. So this is our updated version, and I want to change it to step file. Okay, I'm going to click OK. And now that should have exported as a step file. So if I go in here, I should see that I've got a new step file, which is definitely the case. Okay, let's go back to the full assembly. I'm just going to save this, make sure that everything's saved in the file. Okay, so now I'm ready. I've got my step file, and I'm ready to start bringing that back into ANSYS.